My mother held me down, while my stepsister cut my daughter's hair against her will. What happened next shocked them. "Mom, stop! You're hurting Harper. Bridget needs to learn about hair. Hold still, both of you. She's 6 years old. This is assault. Let her go." "Don't be so dramatic, Christina. It's just hair. Your daughter can stand to sacrifice a little for her stepsister's education." "Mommy, please, it hurts." My mother held me down while my stepsister cut my daughter's hair against her will. "Hi, I'm Christina. Today, I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. I'm 31 years old, a single mother to my 6-year-old daughter, Harper. Her father, my ex-husband Kyle, left when she was 18 months old. Just vanished one day. No contact. No child support. Nothing. I raised Harper alone, working as a pharmacy technician while finishing my degree in physical therapy. Money was always tight, but we managed. We were happy. Harper was my entire world. She had these beautiful, honey blonde curls that fell to her waist, natural ringlets that shimmered like gold in the sunlight. She'd never had more than a trim in her life. Those curls were her pride, and she took care of them meticulously for a 6-year-old, using the special products I bought, sleeping on a satin pillowcase, following the whole routine we'd established together. My mother, Vivian, had always been critical of my life choices. Single motherhood at 25? Disappointment. Working class job? Not ambitious enough. Raising Harper without a father figure? Selfish and damaging. When Vivian married Gregory 3 years ago, I hoped things might improve. Gregory seemed nice enough, quiet, agreeable, stayed out of family drama. He had a daughter from his first marriage, Bridget, who was 20. Bridget was everything I apparently wasn't. She was in beauty school, studying cosmetology, living at home while she finished her certification. Vivian adored her, constantly praising her ambition, her talent, her future potential. "Bridget is going places," Vivian would say. "Not like some people who settled for mediocre careers." I ignored the jabs. I had Harper, my degree program, and a life that didn't revolve around Vivian's approval. But Vivian's obsession with Bridget grew worse after the wedding. Every family gathering became a showcase for Bridget's skills. She'd do Vivian's hair, her makeup, her nails. Vivian would show off to relatives like Bridget was a celebrity stylist instead of a student still learning basics. Bridget herself was spoiled and entitled. She'd complain about her classes being too easy while failing practical exams. She'd criticize professional stylists' work while botching simple cuts on her practice mannequins. She had natural talent maybe, but zero discipline or humility. She also developed a weird fixation on Harper's hair. It started at a family cookout last summer. Harper was playing in the yard, her curls bouncing as she ran. Bridget watched her like a hawk. "Those curls are wasted on a child," she said to me. "She doesn't even appreciate them." "She's 6 and she does appreciate them. She takes care of them better than most adults." I could do so much with hair like that. The texture, the color, the length. It's perfect for advanced techniques. Something in her tone made my skin crawl. "Well, they're her curls, not a training opportunity," I said firmly. Bridget's smile was cold. "Of course." After that, she kept bringing it up. At Thanksgiving, she mentioned wanting to practice balayage on natural blonde hair. At New Year's, she talked about how curly hair reacts to layering techniques, always watching Harper, always commenting on her hair like it was an object instead of part of my daughter. I kept Harper away from her as much as possible. Then came the incident 2 months ago. Vivian invited us to Sunday brunch at her house in Scottsdale. I almost declined, but Harper loved seeing her grandmother. Vivian was sweet to her at least, even if she was critical of me. I didn't want to deprive Harper of that relationship over my own discomfort. We arrived at 11. Gregory was making French toast in the kitchen. Vivian was setting the table. Bridget was supposedly at her boyfriend's apartment. Vivian had mentioned she wouldn't be joining us. That should have been my first warning. Harper and I were in the den when Vivian asked if I could help her grab something from the garage. Nothing unusual. She often recruited me for random tasks while making passive-aggressive comments about my lack of handiness. I followed her toward the garage door. The moment I stepped into the hallway, Vivian grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back. What? Mom, what are you doing? Bridget needs a model for her final practical exam. Real hair, real client. She needs this to pass her course. Let me go! She forced me back toward the den. I fought, but Vivian was stronger than she looked, and she had leverage. When I tried to break free, she wrapped her other arm around my throat. Gregory, help! Gregory appeared in the doorway, looked at the situation, and just stood there. Didn't help, didn't intervene, just watched his wife physically restrain her daughter. That's when I heard Harper scream. I turned my head as much as I could. Bridget had Harper pinned in the reading chair, one hand gripping her head, the other holding professional shears. No! Don't touch her! I thrashed against Vivian's hold. Harper, run! But Harper couldn't run. Bridget was stronger, and she'd positioned the chair against the built-in bookshelf. Harper was crying, trying to pull away, her little hands pushing at Bridget. It's just a haircut, Bridget said calmly, like she was explaining something to a toddler. Stop being such a baby. She started cutting. Stop, you can't do this. Mom, let me go. She's terrified. Bridget needs this experience, Vivian hissed in my ear. Your daughter has hair to spare. She'll be fine. She's 6. This is assault. Don't be dramatic. I watched, helpless, as Bridget hacked into Harper's beautiful curls. Not careful, artistic cuts, rough, uneven chops that sent ringlets falling to the hardwood floor. Harper was sobbing, begging her to stop, trying to twist away. Bridget grabbed her harder, fingers digging into Harper's scalp. Hold still or I'll mess it up worse. You're already messing it up. Stop! I fought like I've never fought in my life. I elbowed Vivian in the ribs, stomped on her foot, threw my head back trying to hit her face. She grunted but held on, actually tightening her grip until I couldn't breathe properly. Gregory, for God's sake, do something, I choked out. He just shook his head. Bridget needs to practice. It's not that serious. The cutting continued for maybe 5 minutes. The longest 5 minutes of my life. Harper's screams turned to broken sobs. Chunks of her hair littered the floor, years of growth destroyed in minutes. Finally, Bridget stepped back. There, see? Not so bad. She released Harper, who immediately ran to me, still crying. Vivian let me go. I dropped to my knees and wrapped my arms around my daughter, checking her for injuries. Harper's hair was butchered, uneven chunks at different lengths, the longest pieces barely touching her shoulders. The shortest hacked close to her scalp in places. Her beautiful curls were destroyed. What was left stuck out at odd angles, the curl pattern broken by the violent cutting. But worse than the hair was the look in her eyes. Terror, betrayal, trauma. It's okay, baby. We're leaving. We're leaving right now. I stood up, holding Harper, and looked at my mother. You held me down while someone assaulted my child. I did no such thing. Bridget gave her a haircut. Against her will. She was crying, begging you to stop, and you held me so I couldn't protect her. Bridget rolled her eyes. You're both being ridiculous. It's hair. It grows back. You had no right to touch her. I needed a model for my exam. Then you ask. You don't force a 6-year-old into a chair and hack off her hair while she's screaming. Vivian stepped between us. Lower your voice. You're upsetting everyone. I'm upsetting everyone? Your stepdaughter just traumatized my child. Traumatized? Christina, you always were overdramatic. It's a haircut, not abuse. I stared at her. This woman who'd given birth to me, who was supposed to protect my child, her granddaughter. And I saw a stranger. We're done. Don't call me. Don't come to my apartment. Don't contact Harper. You're not her grandmother anymore. I took Harper and left. In the car, Harper couldn't stop crying. Mommy, my hair. I know, sweetheart, I know. I'm so sorry. Why did Grandma let her do that? Why didn't she stop her? I didn't have an answer that wouldn't destroy her trust in family entirely. I took her to a professional salon the next day, hair artistry on Camelback Road. The stylist, a kind woman named Natasha, almost cried when she saw what had been done. "This is butchery." "Who did this?" "Someone who shouldn't have scissors near children." Natasha did her best to even things out, but there wasn't much she could work with. Harper's hair ended up in a short pixie cut, the only way to make the damage look intentional instead of violent. Harper looked in the mirror and started crying again. "I don't look like me anymore." My heart shattered. That night, I documented everything. I took photos of Harper's butchered hair before the fix, photos of the corrected cut, photos of the bruises on her arms where Bridget had gripped her. I wrote down exactly what happened with times and details. Then I called the Scottsdale Police Department. The officer who took my report was sympathetic but realistic. "This is assault, technically, battery on a minor, but prosecuting family cases is complicated. Are you prepared for that process?" "Yes. My daughter was held down and physically harmed. I want charges filed." They investigated. Harper had to give a statement. The officer was gentle, but it was still traumatic for her to relive it. I gave my statement. They interviewed Vivian, Gregory, and Bridget. All three claimed it was just a haircut, that we were overreacting, that Harper had been fussy but fine, that I was making false accusations out of spite. But Harper's statement was consistent. The bruises were documented. And Natasha, the stylist, provided a professional statement about the severity and violence of the original cutting. The Maricopa County District Attorney filed charges: misdemeanor battery and child endangerment against Bridget, and criminal restraint against Vivian for holding me. Gregory wasn't charged but was listed as a witness. My extended family lost their minds. Vivian's sister, my Aunt Lorraine, called me furious. "You're pressing charges against your own mother over a haircut?" She physically restrained me while someone attacked my child. Attacked? It was a haircut. Bridget needed practice. Then she should practice on people who consent, not terrified children. "You're tearing this family apart." The family tore itself apart when they held down a 6-year-old and traumatized her. Half the family sided with Vivian. "Family doesn't prosecute family, it's just hair." Christina always was sensitive. The other half was horrified, especially those with young children who understood the violation. My cousin Stephanie, who had twin daughters, called me in tears. "I'm so sorry this happened. I can't believe Aunt Vivian did that. We're behind you completely." Her support meant everything. The legal process took 9 months. During that time, Vivian launched a campaign to paint me as a vindictive daughter, destroying her innocent mother's life. She posted on Facebook about how I'd made false accusations and weaponized my child against family. Bridget posted her version, that she'd just been trying to help with Harper's damaged hair, that we'd overreacted to a simple haircut, that I was ruining her cosmetology career with false charges. The comments were brutal. People who didn't know the full story called me horrible names, said I was using my daughter for attention, said I should be ashamed. But I also received messages from other mothers, from people who'd experienced similar violations, from survivors of family violence who understood what had really happened. Their support kept me going. Harper struggled. She developed anxiety around hair care, flinched when people reached toward her head, had nightmares about being trapped in that chair. I got her into therapy immediately. Her therapist, Dr. Amanda Winters, was wonderful. She worked with Harper on processing the trauma, on understanding that what happened wasn't her fault, on rebuilding her sense of safety and bodily autonomy. "This kind of violation is deeply damaging," Dr. Winters told me privately. "It teaches children that their boundaries don't matter, that adults can do whatever they want to their bodies. You did the right thing by pursuing charges. It shows Harper that what happened was wrong and that she deserves protection." The court case finally went to trial. Bridget's public defender tried to argue it was a misunderstanding, that she thought she had permission. that the damage wasn't severe enough to warrant charges. The prosecution presented Harper's testimony via recorded interview. The judge wouldn't make her testify in person given her age and trauma. They presented photos, medical documentation of her bruises, professional testimony from Natasha about the violence of the cutting, and testimony from Dr. Winters about Harper's ongoing trauma. I testified about being physically restrained, about watching my daughter be assaulted, about begging them to stop. Vivian testified that she'd just been trying to help Bridget, that she didn't realize I was serious about wanting them to stop. I held her for maybe a minute. She was being hysterical. The prosecutor presented timeline evidence showing I'd been restrained for over 5 minutes, showed photos of the bruises on my arms from her grip. Gregory testified that he didn't think it was that serious and that he didn't want to get involved in drama. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Bridget was sentenced to 18 months probation, anger management classes, and was required to pay restitution for Harper's therapy costs. Her cosmetology license application was denied. She'd have to disclose the conviction and face additional scrutiny if she ever reapplied. Vivian was sentenced to probation and mandatory family violence counseling. She was also issued a restraining order preventing her from contacting Harper or me for 3 years. The fallout was nuclear. Bridget's cosmetology career was essentially over before it started. Most salons in Phoenix wouldn't hire someone with a battery conviction, especially one involving a child. She ended up working at a Target in Tempe, furious that her dreams were destroyed over what she still called just a haircut. Vivian lost relationships with half the family. Those with young children especially wanted nothing to do with someone who'd assist in assaulting a child. She was uninvited from family gatherings, blocked on social media, cut off from grandchildren other than through supervised visits. Her marriage to Gregory deteriorated. Turns out, watching your wife physically assault your stepdaughter while your daughter attacks a 6-year-old puts strain on a relationship. They separated within a year, divorced within 2. Vivian tried to blame me for destroying her life, losing her husband, losing her family, being branded a criminal. But I didn't destroy anything. She made choices. She chose to physically restrain me. She chose to allow Bridget to assault my daughter. She chose to prioritize Bridget's practice over Harper's safety, consent, and well-being. Those were her choices. The consequences were hers to bear. Harper is 8 now. Her hair has grown back to shoulder length, and her curls are returning. She still has anxiety around salons. We go to Natasha exclusively, and Harper needs advanced warning and control over what happens. But she's healing. Therapy helped, time helped, and seeing justice served helped most of all. "Mommy, did I do the right thing?" Harper asked me recently. "Telling the police what happened?" "You did exactly the right thing. What they did to you was wrong, and you were brave enough to tell the truth about it." "Grandma says I lied." My stomach clenched. "When did you talk to Grandma?" "She sent me a message on my iPad, said I lied and made everyone hate her." I immediately checked Harper's tablet. Sure enough, Vivian had created a fake Instagram account to bypass the restraining order and had been sending Harper messages, guilting her, calling her a liar, blaming her for destroying the family. I reported it immediately to the Scottsdale Police Department and Harper's attorney. Vivian's probation was violated. She served 45 days in Maricopa County Jail for contempt and harassment. When she got out, she finally went silent. I haven't heard from her in over a year now. I don't know if she understands what she did wrong, or if she still believes she was justified. I don't care anymore. Bridget occasionally posts vague Instagram stories about fake victims and people who can't take a joke, clearly referring to us. I've blocked her everywhere. She's not worth the mental energy. Gregory reached out once, apologizing for not intervening. "I should have stopped them. I was a coward." "Yes, you were." "Can I have a relationship with Harper? I miss her." "You watched someone assault her and did nothing. She doesn't need people like you in her life." I blocked him too. The family members who sided with Vivian occasionally try to reach out, usually around Thanksgiving or Christmas, suggesting we move past this and forgive for the sake of family. I don't respond, because here's what I learned. Family doesn't assault children. Family doesn't hold you down while someone traumatizes your daughter. Family doesn't prioritize convenience over safety. What Vivian, Bridget, and Gregory did wasn't family. It was violence. And I don't forgive violence against my child, no matter who commits it. Harper and I built a new family, chosen family. My cousin Stephanie and her twins, who supported us through everything. Natasha, who helped Harper trust again. Dr. Winters, who gave Harper tools to heal. Friends from work and school who showed up when blood relatives didn't. These are Harper's grandmothers now. Her aunts. Her chosen family. People who would never hurt her. Who respect her boundaries. Who see her as a person deserving of bodily autonomy. I'm finishing my physical therapy degree next semester. Harper is thriving in second grade. She's artistic, brilliant, and learning that her voice matters, that when someone violates her boundaries, there are consequences, that the adults in her life will protect her, always. Sometimes I see Vivian around Scottsdale. She looks older, harder, isolated. Part of me feels sad for what could have been. The grandmother she could have been to Harper if she'd made different choices. But mostly I feel relief that we escaped. My daughter has her curls back. She has her safety back. She has her voice back. And no relationship, no matter how biological, is worth sacrificing those things. People ask me sometimes if I regret pressing charges, if I think I overreacted. If I feel guilty about what happened to Vivian and Bridget, the answer is no, not for a single second. What they did to Harper wasn't a mistake. It wasn't poor judgment. It was deliberate violence against a child, my child, who was screaming, crying, and begging them to stop. Vivian made a conscious choice to physically restrain me while I fought to protect my daughter. She heard Harper's screams and chose to hold tighter. She saw the terror in a 6-year-old's eyes and decided Bridget's practice was more important. Bridget made a conscious choice to force a terrified child into a chair and hack off her hair. She felt Harper struggling beneath her hands and chose to grip harder. She heard her crying and told her to stop being a baby. Gregory made a conscious choice to stand there and watch it happen. To do nothing while his stepdaughter was assaulted and his wife was physically restrained. To call it not that serious when asked to intervene. Those were their choices, not mine. I chose to protect my daughter. I chose to show her that what happened to her mattered. I chose to teach her that her body belongs to her, that her boundaries deserve respect, that no one, not even family, has the right to violate her. And I'd make the same choice again in a heartbeat. Harper knows her story now. She knows what happened wasn't her fault. She knows that the adults who should have protected her failed, but that I fought for her. She knows that justice, while slow, eventually came. She also knows that family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up when you need them, who respect your boundaries, who would never, ever hurt you. Last week, Harper asked if she could grow her hair long again. Like it used to be, she said, before. Of course, sweetheart. Your hair, your choice, always. She smiled, that beautiful, bright smile that lights up my entire world. Can we go to Miss Natasha? I want her to trim it so it grows healthy. Absolutely. We went to hair artistry that Saturday. Natasha greeted Harper with a hug, showed her the chair, explained exactly what she'd be doing, and asked permission before touching her hair. Harper sat in that chair, the same chair where we'd come to fix the damage 2 years ago. And she wasn't afraid. She was calm, confident, in control. When we left, Harper looked at herself in every reflective surface we passed. My curls are coming back, she said. They're mine again. They always were, baby. They always were. That night, as I tucked her into bed, Harper wrapped her arms around my neck. Thank you for protecting me, Mommy. Always, Harper. Always. She fell asleep with her hand touching her hair, her beautiful, healing, growing hair. And I sat there watching her, This brave, strong, incredible child who survived something no child should ever experience. My mother held me down while my stepsister cut my daughter's hair against her will. But my daughter is free now, safe now, loved now. And that's the only ending that matters. So I ask you, if your parent physically helped someone assault your child, would you ever allow them back into your lives? The answer for me is simple: never.